wait for a few more people to come in here and give some announcements before we start. Great. Well, welcome to another episode of Downtown Now. During this episode, we will discuss our 2020 annual report. Questions are encouraged, and you can use the chat and Q&A features to do so. Now, I will turn it over to our President and CEO, Joe Marinucci.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Marinucci, President and CEO of Downtown Cleveland Alliance, and I'd like to thank you for joining us for our 30th episode of Downtown Now webinar series. Today, we are joined by members of DCA senior staff to present the 2020 Downtown Cleveland Annual Report, which we are releasing and will be available for view today. I'd like to thank our funders, property owners, residents, partners, and stakeholders for your work and collaboration throughout this past year. Because of the foundation we've built through our partnerships, we anticipate a brighter year ahead. Now, I'd like to turn the program over to DCA's Executive Vice President of Business Development, Michael Deemer, who will present the highlights from the 2020 DCA Annual Report. Michael?
All right, thank you, Joe, and thank you, Lauren, and thanks to all of you for joining us today for another episode of the Downtown Now webinar. I'd also like to thank at the outset the entire staff at Downtown Cleveland Alliance for all the work that went into publishing and creating our annual report, and all the work that went into helping Downtown Cleveland weather a very challenging 2020. We did release our annual report just yesterday, and you can find that on our social media channels, and we'll ask our team to drop it into the chat of this program so that you can take a look at the report as we talk about it today. What a difference 1 year makes. As we look back over the course of the last year and think back to March of 2020, that was almost exactly a year ago that things were just beginning to shut down. We didn't know if it was going to be a matter of days, weeks, or months, and I'm not sure any of us thought that it was going to take an entire year. And so much happened over the course of that year, and we're going to talk about all of that today. But we're also going to talk about the hope that is in the air. We really feel like we are beginning to turn a corner as a country and as a community, and certainly as a downtown. We're going to talk about that today. And I'm pleased to be joined today by my close colleagues, our Vice President of Operations at Eckart, and our Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations, Heather Holmes, to help present some of the highlights of our 2020 annual report, to talk about some of the things that our organization did to help downtown Cleveland weather a very difficult year. And again, to talk about some of the things that we see on the horizon and some of the cause for hope that we believe we have heading into 2021. I guess at the outset, I'd like to begin by setting the stage for talking about our Clean and Safe Ambassador program. You know, Joe talked about the foundation that we have in downtown Cleveland. And I think one of the reasons why we were able to weather 2020 as well as we have as a downtown is because of that strong foundation. And we know that that foundation really begins in downtown Cleveland with having a clean, safe, and welcoming pedestrian experience. And that really begins with our essential workers in downtown, our ambassadors. Ed oversees the Clean and Safe Ambassador program. And Ed, I'd like to invite you to, kick us off by, sharing a little bit about what the ambassadors were up to in 2020 and the work that they did to position us for the recovery that we see around the corner.
Thank you, Michael. 2020 was a year for the record books, to say the least. When I started here at DCA in November of 2019, if you would have told me that in a few months, I'd be working with a team of essential workers working through a pandemic, some civil unrest, some demonstrations, and some other challenges, I would have said, "No, you're crazy."
You thought there was going to be an easy job.
Yeah, I sure did. No, but seriously, I cannot underscore to all of you how extremely privileged I feel to share the incredible story of our Clean and Safe team with all of you this afternoon. I described their work last year as tireless and heroic in the face of unprecedented circumstances. That's just something that I know myself as well as our team, we're all extremely proud of. Michael, you mentioned, I thought back to this or last year, right around this time, we were just finishing up planning and preparation for one of Cleveland's oldest traditions, the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Yeah.
Little did I know that within 72 hours, things were going to be turned upside down. All of those ambassadors that were working on planning and preparation for the parade now were deemed to be essential workers, through our collaboration and partnership with the city of Cleveland. And they pivoted from that role to now keeping our stakeholders, our residents, employees, and visitors safe in downtown. Our Clean and Safe team truly represents the spirit and heart of Cleveland. And again, I am just so proud to be able to share with you all of the hard work that they've done. Normally in an annual report, we would recite a lot of numbers, go over, from my perspective, how much trash did we remove from the streets? How many safety escorts did we provide? How many keys locked in vehicles did we get out for people? How many dead batteries did we revive? How many graffiti tags did we remove? On and on. And certainly that is very important. And ladies and gentlemen, you'll be able to see those details in the annual report. And the ambassadors play a very, very important role in augmenting the city's services. But I would just like to take a few moments to just share some specifics about how important they were to getting us through 2020. We had to figure out how can they keep things clean and safe in this environment. So the team quickly pivoted. They figured out how to disinfect, sanitize public touch points, and maintaining a public presence downtown to kind of make people still feel safe and secured. Although, many days the streets were pretty barren early on, and there was a lot of reduced foot traffic. They worked side by side with business owners and operators to clean up after the civil unrest. They worked side by side with volunteers. Many of you that are probably watching today were out there helping us clean up and get the city back up on its feet. One of the big challenges that we saw as a result of the pandemic is the fact that because of the social distancing requirements, a lot of the shelters for people experiencing homelessness had to reduce their population. And so we really worked hard in a partnership with those social service agencies to assist those people that were displaced from the shelters. We developed a collaborative approach to assist the homeless community to find both short and long-term shelter. I think we've kind of taken a more enlightened approach to how we work with those individuals downtown, how our interaction with the social service agencies can fill the gaps, and we're very proud of that work. We created a vast and robust safety security collaboration that brought together all of our federal, state, local, and regional partners, along with our stakeholder security staff. That collaboration provided for a platform for the community and law enforcement to come together, share ideas, exchange information, and grow in trust. And I think that went a long way in helping us navigate some of the uncertainty that was going on, number one with the pandemic, but then secondly with some of the First Amendment activity that was going on in Cleveland. So I think that really allowed us to forge a much stronger information or collaboration with the community. I would be remiss if I didn't specifically mention Commander Dorothy Todd from the 3rd District. She has been awesome in terms of a partner. She is responsive, she is open, she listens to people, and she has been a fantastic partner. And then lastly, I just wanted to highlight our SEEDS program. Our SEEDS program, for those of you that aren't aware of it, it's a collaboration with Lutheran Metropolitan Ministry in where We provide job opportunities for men and women experiencing homelessness and receive training in landscaping maintenance and landscaping management. Last year in 2020, we expanded the scope of the program, expanded the season, expanded the number of employees. And this year, we're hoping to do even more with that program. We're also proud to note that in 2020, we added another partner, the City Mission in Cleveland, that now is a full-fledged partner with us in Lutheran ministry to provide additional applicants for that collaborative. I think all of these things that we were able to accomplish through the Clean and Safe program really underscores, number one, that Cleveland is a clean and safe environment. But secondly, and I think just as important, it assists in the work that both Michael and Heather do in their areas of marketing, development, and finding ways to get our message out. So again, I'm very privileged and honored to be able to represent our Clean and Safe team today. I want to give them a shout out. Thank you all for your hard work. We couldn't be where we're at without you. So Michael, I'll turn it back to you, and I'm sure we'll be talking a little more later on in the webinar.
Oh, there's no doubt. And Ed, I want to join you in thanking the ambassadors for all of the work that they put in over the course of 2020 and into 2021. And thank you for your leadership of that team and that program and helping us weather challenging circumstances and set the table for good things to come. As you alluded to, though, another key element of building a vibrant downtown, along with having that clean, safe, and welcoming foundation, is being able to have the brand of the downtown to sell and a story to tell. And I want to turn next to the designer of our annual report, the keeper of the downtown brand, and our storyteller, our Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations, Heather Holmes. Heather, can you tell us a little bit about the work that you and your team put in to tell the story in 2020, which was probably not the story you were planning to tell when we started the year last year?
Not planning to tell, but very excited to tell it. I think what resonated most with me about what Ed shared was the growth, evolution, and strength of the partnerships that 2020 brought. I mean, we have always worked with LMM. We have always done work with Seeds. Our ambassadors have been, as he articulated, the foundation of our business model and who DCA is and what we do. And that was the same for us under the marketing umbrella, right? At the onset of 2020, we didn't want to talk about everyone who was closing. We wanted to find a way to, highlight and bring up those who were finding creative ways to stay open and reminding all of the residents in downtown what was still open and available to them. And then you lay on, that was March, April, May-ish. Then you lay on the civil unrest that happened end of May, early June. And now there's a whole new story that we can tell for downtown and for our city, right? Ears were open to hearing new things. And I'm very proud of the work our entire team, has done in helping to tell that story. We did that in a couple of ways. First, we worked with partners that we've always worked with, right? But in a new way to help formalize what is now known as the Cleveland Pledge. And that is a commitment from organizations like DCA, like, institutions and foundations and corporations throughout the city who pledge their commitment to figure out ways that the organizations can internally make some adjustments, make some investments, and change some policies to, do their part in dismantling institutional racism. So very proud of the work that our organization and all of our partners and that commitment that we made in that.
Well, you're
my
gonna
baby.
You're going to be modest, but I want to thank you for your leadership in catalyzing that effort and bringing that group together and finding the right words at the right time. So I want to thank you for your leadership in that effort as well, Heather.
Yeah, Michael, I was going to say the same.
Well, thank you.
The effort that you put into that, Heather, and you should be very proud of the work that you did. That was an awesome. First of all, it was a very important initiative, but to be able to bring everybody together in that same focus, you did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, but I give all credit to those who helped me get to where I am, right? I mean, we used the seat and the spot and the moment and the opportunities that we're in to make the change that we can. So it was a very humbling experience for me. So thank you for that. During the same week that we were working on that pledge, birthed my baby. Lauren, you're not on mute. I hear you. Do you guys hear her? I hear her in the backstaging. But so anyway, my baby during that same week was the starting of Voices of Clee. We got a call from the mayor's office, asking that, we think of ways to kind of animate the boarded up storefronts and windows in downtown, because that is certainly not the visual of the story that we're trying to tell of our city. And I am very proud to, see how that initiative has grown. So that too is another example of partnership. This was just an idea that, I had and brought together the right people: Land Studio, Ingenuity Cleveland, Emily Applebaum, she's my new best friend now, and our, 1, 2 a.m., in the morning conversations and text messages. We have a lot of, exciting new murals and public art things that we're looking to unveil here in the next couple months. We have a lot of interest still from various organizations, institutions to get behind that. And so Voices of Clee, for anyone who's not familiar, was, again, a public art initiative really allowing artists of color the opportunity to express their feelings and emotions around everything that happened with George Floyd, using art as a medium to express emotions and create a platform for dialogue and healing. And like I said, it continues to be supportive. And so we're really excited about the opportunity that we have given artists of color in our community to participate and be uplifted and highlighted in that way. So that's the feel good work that I, was able to do this year, and I, along with all of you at DCA. When it comes to supporting our small businesses, our restaurants and retailers, because that's another segment. That's something else that I think a lot of people don't appreciate about DC. We have a lot of different stakeholders and audience groups that we must stay connected with, that we do our best to serve, find solutions, connect with resources. So community is definitely one. That's first and foremost. Second is our small business, right? Our small business community. And again, another example of how partnerships to me were strengthened this year. Working very closely with Destination Cleveland, with Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, with all of our neighborhood partners to help, uplift and promote our restaurants the way we can. DCA has a very strong voice when it comes to our social media audiences. You combine that with the social media audiences of Destination Cleveland, Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, Gateway Warehouse, on and on and on and on and on. And we're now all singing from the same hymnal. The impact is that much greater. And so over the past year, we had 2 restaurant weeks, not just our traditional one in February, but also we did one in the fall. Us and our partners helped promote Takeout Tuesdays, Carryout Crawl, anything we could do to support not only our restaurants, but our small businesses in downtown. Know that we were working around the clock and very hard to figure out the best ways to do that. And the last thing that I think I want to highlight of major accomplishments that the marketing team did in 2020 was our trilogy video. I think everyone kind of knows DCA for having some awesome hype videos, right? When I started DCA about 6 years ago, that was right on the trend of hype videos for cities or for brands. And, you know, we had a lot of Emmy Award winning, you know, videos. And I couldn't at that time understand, okay, so we invest this, we tell this awesome story, we send it out in email, put it on, you know, YouTube, now what? Finally this year was able to take one of those and put it on air commercial. And everyone who knows me knows this was a dream. That was a dream. And my dreams came true in 2020. And we got to, you know, showcase some of our hard work finally on TV and connected TV. But the content of those videos, I think I'm most proud of. You know, we usually, again, just do one. This year we did 3. And we tried to be very timely, going back to your original point and question, Michael, of telling the story of downtown. So the first one was a very beautifully produced reflection of the protest and the beautification efforts after June. Then the second one was really about highlighting the tenacity of our small business owners, retail, restaurants, service providers in downtown and the community that they really share amongst each other. And then the last one was really, you know, we pin it as our Live Downtown Now, you know, campaign, highlighting the many unique opportunities to live in downtown. I think what makes the housing market in downtown Cleveland much different than any other major cities because of, you know, the work we've done in historic preservation and tax credits and converting old office space into residential units. Of all the places that I have been able to tour in downtown, I love that, you know, not one unit looks similar to the next. There's a lot of different look and feels, and it's because, you know, they're creating residential units, you know, within the historical infrastructure of that building. So you have this authenticity and this uniqueness in an apartment that you cannot get, you know, anywhere. And I would name some suburbs, but I'm not going to because I'm often teased about the suburb in which I am from as a competitor, and I live now.
I'm not going to say anything.
So there you have it. So there you have that.
Hey, Heather, I just want to take a moment, though. You know, it struck me as you were talking about our relationships with small businesses, just the awesome outpouring of the restaurants at the time when we did the lunches and dinners for the ambassadors, and the outpouring from the community to support them, you know, working closely with you and your team. For those of you that may not know, we, because the ambassadors were working every day and they were considered essential, a lot of people in the community wanted to show their support and their appreciation for that. So for several months, we had local restaurants providing lunches and dinners, or people would donate money to go towards that. And I would say for almost 4 months, our ambassadors were fed by people in the community and a lot of our operators. And, you know, that to me was telling. But you and your staff.
It meant a lot. Yeah. Looks like, Michael, you're up. You got to go through the numbers now.
Wasn't sure if you were done.
The market update.
No, we're done. We're done. We're done. Sorry.
Well, this is a release of our annual report, and you know we do talk about that clean and safe and welcoming foundation that the ambassador team lays. It's an example of the branding and storytelling that we do. But I did want to take just a few moments to walk through some of the key themes and messages and a few of the numbers in the report. I invite all of you to read through it yourselves. There is a link to it in the chat. It's available at downtowncleveland.com. And I encourage you, again, to read it and share it widely, because I think it does do a very nice job of capturing what happened in 2020, how downtown Cleveland was impacted, and what our organization has done. And I think it also paints a picture of where we're headed in 2021. But I think the key theme that runs throughout the annual report is that, you know, we entered 2020 with some momentum, with a very strong foundation. We weathered a very, very difficult year. And in the process, we were able to continue to add to that strong foundation, which again, I think it positions us very well for the future. Everybody who follows Downtown Cleveland Alliance knows we track all of the market sectors, and I'd like to share just a little bit about each of the market sectors that we do track. In the office market, we continued to see businesses invest in office space, even as most folks were working remotely over the course of 2020, and there's no doubt that created challenges for our office buildings as well as our storefront businesses who rely on office workers to help them thrive day in and day out over the course of the year. But I think what's very telling as we think about what the future of work is going to look like is that we had 53 office businesses relocate or recommit to downtown and lease over 740,000 square feet of office space over the course of 2020. And I think those types of investments from office businesses point towards a commitment to place-based work culture and a recognition of the importance of bringing people together in a work environment for collaboration and innovation and team building and culture building. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see as things begin to loosen up over the course of 2021. In the housing market, we always knew that 2020 was going to be a big opportunity for us. At the same time, it would present some challenges. We've known for a while we were going to add a lot of housing product in 2020, over 1,000 apartments. We'd long ago set a goal of reaching 20,000 residents by the end of 2020. And I think the good news for us is that we continued to grow the downtown population. We ended 2020 with just under 20,000 residents. We estimate 19,645 to be precise. And we're very comfortable in saying, over the course of the first quarter, as apartments continue to lease up, we're surpassing that 20,000 resident threshold as we speak. And apartment occupancy dropped as we anticipated, but remained steady at just over 84%. And again, painting a picture of the best indication of where the market is headed is the type of investment taking place. We continue to see developers invest in new projects, and residents invest in leases and building a life in downtown Cleveland as we start 2021. We anticipate new projects beginning over the course of this year and in construction continuing to being completed on some of those that are underway. Heather talked a little bit about the challenges and the response that our retailers and restaurateurs faced in 2020. And there's no doubt they were hit hard, but they were incredibly resilient. We worked with a number of restaurants in the days following May 30th and a number of strategic partners, the City of Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, the Cleveland Foundation, and Greater Cleveland Partnership to raise a fund to assist businesses that were impacted and help them reopen. And we were able to do that very effectively over the course of the year. By the end of 2020, we were tracking over 140 businesses that were open. We added 13 restaurants over the course of the year. And I think as we look ahead to 2021, we're very hopeful that we continue to see more and more restaurants reopen week in and week out. I close the market overview by just noting that the hospitality market, which we also track, we acknowledge was hit very, very hard. Business travel came to a close. There wasn't much leisure travel, so hotel occupancy dropped significantly from year to year. But as we step back and look at where we are right now, and as we look ahead to where downtown is headed, I think the events and hospitality market are offering some of the clearest signs of hope. We've got a Progressive Field will be at 30% capacity on April 5th for opening day with the Tribe. That'll bring 11,000 people into the ballpark. A few weeks after that, we'll have the NFL draft that will have a substantial presence in downtown. The governor has talked very openly that if vaccinations continue to go well on the pace that they are, Progressive Field could be at 100% capacity by the 4th of July. We've got the Broadway series returning to Playhouse Square in September to look forward to. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony in October to look forward to. And as we look ahead to just under a year from now, the NBA All-Star Game coming to Cleveland in 2022, and Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse promising an epic year of concerts heading into next year. So I think that, for the first time in a while, that we see that light at the end of the tunnel, that feeling of turning the corner, and hope that we've been looking for many months. And again, I think downtown Cleveland, because of the hard work that we did to weather the storm in 2020 and continue to add to that strong foundation that we entered the year with, is going to be well positioned to take advantage of the return of events, the return of office workers, and a growing residential population.
Now, I know, Michael, we're all looking forward to increased foot traffic downtown, people starting to come back down and feeling comfortable with all the amenities. So, we're ready, and the door is open.
Well, that may be a great point to pause, and I'm sure we have some questions, Lauren, rolling in from the audience, and see what questions they have and what answers Heather, Ed, and I might have.
And a reminder to, we'll answer your questions, as they roll in. So feel free to add them in the chat or add them in the Q&A if you prefer that privately, and we'll add them to the queue. But the first question is, in the midst of the challenges faced across the nation, what has downtown Cleveland accomplished that you are most proud of?
Oh boy,
that's loaded. That's loaded. Yeah, I mean, from safety, security, from small business impact, from social justice issues. I mean, that is a loaded question. Ask it again.
I think what I'm most proud of is the way that our downtown community banded together to address all of the above. We've talked about the pandemic. We've talked about the reckoning on racial equity that this community in the rest of the country and world was engaged in and continues to be engaged in. And I think I'm most proud of how our community in downtown came together, how our organization came together. And we banded together to grind through to make sure that our downtown is in a position to thrive as soon as it's safe to get out there and do so, and people feel comfortable getting out there to do so. And I think we prepared ourselves well for this moment that I think we're entering. And that was no easy task. It wasn't just, it certainly wasn't just this organization. It certainly wasn't just our strategic partners. It took an entire community to really band together to get through a really challenging set of circumstances. And I think we're as well positioned as any downtown community to forge the path ahead.
Now, from my perspective, what stuck out to me was the passion by everyone in the community downtown about, what can we do to make sure that, number one, we're protecting one another, that we're being inclusive in it, but how do we best work together to position ourselves coming out of this? And the sense of urgency to stage things so that we were in a position to do that. This would have been kind of easy for people just to, put themselves in a bunker and just kind of wait for others, whether it be the government or other institutions, to kind of pave the way. But, from my perspective, through Clean and Safe, I think I talked more to stakeholders during this time than I did prior to it. So that's what impressed me the most.
Yeah, increased communication across the board, from the communities that we serve to the communities that we work with. And I think, the culture of Cleveland's, resiliency to push through. You think about how we think about our sports teams, or all the challenges really that face the community. I think what was different this past year that I am encouraged to see us build upon and continue, this year as things, open up and light as the tunnel is the egos have really kind of gone away. I mean, nobody, to me, I don't think there's this ego of this is mine, I owned it, this is, my organization. It was, how can we help? What can we do? And I don't recall ever there being an idea brought up to the table by anyone that wasn't supported in some way. I think, the rallying behind any call for help or any initiative across the board, Ed mentioned, about, the homeless population. I don't think people thought about right. what the shelter in place, stay at home order meant for the homeless population. And especially, as that, relate and impacts downtown. That was a huge conversation and a huge joint effort, by multiple entities that we just happened to be, fortunate to play our role in, right? But, we hope that, the attention, the efforts, the, resources put into some of the temporary housing situations that, are happening now are something that can be built upon and looked at, as to possible solutions going forward. And that's just, one piece, again, I think across the board, again, the strength of partnerships and relationships were definitely strengthened in this past year. And it's something I'm encouraged, to build upon going forward.
Yeah, it's really, really well put. Really well put.
Next question. This is from Becky. Thank you, Becky. How do you think the pandemic taught DCA how to address other large-scale problems that will face the community inevitably? How will this be treated as a learning experience?
I'll jump in. I think Heather kind of touched on it really well in talking about the level of collaboration that took place over the course of the year, and I think continues. I think we've always at DCA been an organization that we pride ourselves on our strategic partnerships and working well with allies across the community. But I think that all went to another level in 2020. I think, and that's something, again, that's continued into 2021. And that's, I think, the key to tackling any large scale issue facing the community. And we still have large scale issues facing the community. We've talked about the issues around systemic racism and concentrated poverty, and we still have a pandemic to resolve and come out of and bring the kind of density back into downtown that we're used to, in doing it in a way that is more inclusive as a community than we were before. So, I think taking those lessons of working well together and collaboratively at a higher level is something that we can and are building off of.
And it's nice to have relationships with people so that when something does come up, you can pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody where you've already kind of laid a foundation of collaboration, working together. Those, especially under extreme circumstances, it's nice to already have a level of trust and understanding, which I think this kind of it didn't force us, but it underscored the importance of it.
Okay, next question. What do you expect to see as some businesses consider long-term remote work? Are office workers returning to downtown?
Yes, they're returning to downtown.
No, I really appreciate that question, because it's one that we hear a lot of, and I think is on everybody's mind and that we read about a lot. We are seeing office workers return into downtown. I would say more and more every week. There was a lot of remote work that took place in 2020, and it did feel like that every time businesses were planning to bring folks back in the office, there was another escalation in cases and another tightening up of travel restrictions. And I think we're coming out of that now. And, between the weather changing, the return of events, more and more restaurants reopening, we are seeing more and more employers bringing their workers back into downtown. But in terms of the longer term impact that question gets at, I think there was a trend towards more flexible work policies heading into 2020, and the experience that everybody has had with remote work has probably accelerated the desire for more flexibility. But based on the investments that we see office businesses making, and I think just based on all of our understanding of human nature, we're social beings. We want face-to-face contact and interaction. We collaborate better. We build teams better. We have stronger culture. We have better mental health when we're together and not looking at Zoom screens all day, or answering emails first thing in the morning or right before we go to bed in this sort of never-ending workday that we have. Everybody is ready to get back to more interpersonal interaction. So I do think that we're going to see folks continue to return to office environments as we're already beginning to see. I think we're going to see that accelerate as the vaccines become more widely distributed. And I think that we'll see more flexible work policies. But I think we're going to, that need and desire to be together, to work together and build together and create together is not something that's going away.
Yeah. And I would just say that, every size business or organization, the different sizes has its different, challenges or things that they're, considerations that they're, processing right now as to how and when and what that looks like. But putting my PR hat on, and I'm shame on you, Michael, for not mentioning,
What'd I forget? Should there be this, complete demand from the next generation of I'm only going to work from home? Well, that puts downtown Cleveland in a great position from a residential standpoint, because you certainly, can work for Google in Silicon Valley, but while living in your very unique, authentic, downtown Cleveland apartment. So there is some opportunity, in that regard. So, we want to, make sure that's top of mind in our messaging and storytelling, to the remote work segment.
Shay, Heather, good job.
To snowball onto that, we have a question from Lee. Thank you, Lee, for this question. Even if workers come back downtown, office space will likely be different. Mm-hmm. How will it be different? How are offices already adapting to the changes in the market due to COVID-19?
Hi, Lee. So I'm just going to start, and I'll let Michael, give the right answer. I feel like in a lot of the new office renovations that we were seeing pre-COVID, you were seeing a lot more creative space, meaning, larger open kitchens, perhaps a ping pong table. So you'll see just more, use of space in making use of it in collaborative, creative thinking, brainstorming ways, right? We saw in a lot of the renovations of, larger office buildings, the adding on of amenities like workout facilities, hair, barber, beauty care, you name it. So I think those are the kind of amenities that, a lot of the buildings will continue to look at. And I think, some of the workspace, options that some of our employers will think about. But that's just me. And, I think everyone should have a simulator golf, location in their office.
If I can just jump in, Michael, I think the other thing that people are giving more consideration to now are kind of their HVAC systems in terms of moving air, and kind of going with the science of now we're dealing with an airborne a situation. And I know several of the stakeholders that I've had interactions with are kind of looking in that direction. And they may have all along, but I think this has kind of expedited that a bit.
Yeah, and I think just to tie some of those thoughts together, I think building owners have adapted, and so there are all kinds of protocols in place in terms of cleaning, HVAC, ventilation, masking, distancing requirements in common areas and elevator banks and those sorts of things to make the experience comfortable and safe for employees coming in and out. And then we're seeing office tenants adapt within their own space. In terms of some of the long-term impacts, I think, Heather touched on this, that there was a trend towards, very open office environments and to pack as many people into the smallest amount of space as possible. We're already beginning to see that change as people want to be spread out a little bit more. We're beginning to see and hear more about shared desks. So, I talked a little bit about, the potential for more flexible work policies. You may be sitting at your desk one day and then, working from home another day, and then somebody else is sitting at your desk the next day. And sometimes people think that means, that means individual businesses are going to need less office space. I think that's not necessarily the case, because they're also going to want to spread people out more. I think Heather touched on this a little bit as well. I think there's a stronger desire for more enclosed office areas and larger meeting spaces. And, that's going to offset the need for maybe less people in the office all at once. But when you do have people in the office, you're going to want them to spread out a little bit more. And we're already beginning to see some of those things manifest in some of the design and leasing decisions that businesses are making.
All right. We have a nice comment from Tom Licks from Cleveland Whiskey. Proud to have Cleveland in our company name. Great people, great environment, and certainly not easy this past year. But this is a community, a strong community. Thank you all. Thank you, Tom, for that. To snowball onto that, how can you speak more on these future developments like Cleveland Whiskey, moving to Flat South, and how it will change the landscape of downtown?
Well, one of the things we're very excited about is the pipeline of development that continues to fill. And, we started to touch on some of the things that will begin in 2021. The City Club apartments along Euclid Avenue, we expect to break ground very soon. A future phase of the Flats East Bank, the renovation of the Centennial at East 9th and Euclid, the old 925 Euclid building, 75 public squares under construction. Sherwin-Williams is planning to begin construction on their new global headquarters at the end of the year. That's going to have as big an impact on the urban fabric of downtown as anything. And then, of course, the opportunities along the riverfront for development are enormous. The Flats now is included in the Downtown Cleveland Special Improvement District. So we're providing direct services to the River Valley now. We work very closely with our partner organization, Flats Forward, on serving the river area. And we're working with them and the city of Cleveland on implementing the city's Vision for the Valley plan that really, contemplates bringing a lot of mixed use development along the river. The Flat South project, where Cleveland Whiskey is going, is a key piece of that. And then making the connections between both sides of the river and the developments along the river are key elements of that plan as well. And, for us in downtown Cleveland, what we want to see is that, really seamless urban fabric connecting, the east side of downtown, the river over to the near west side. And I think that's exactly what we're beginning to see happen. And the Flat South project is a terrific example of that.
Great. Comment from Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. He says, kudos on your efforts, to my colleagues at DCA for your uplifting presentation and comments from a challenging year. And the question from Kevin as well, to Michael, Heather, and Ed, what is your thought on what is needed for downtown post-pandemic? Please elaborate.
I'll take a first stab at it. Post-pandemic, I think, we need to create an environment, first of all, and it gets back to the basics, I think, just that it's clean and safe so that people feel that they can come down here anytime, day or night, with their family, with their friends, and enjoy all of the amenities and all the experiences that are so awesome down here. And to do that in a way that does not turn us into a quote unquote police state where, you've got an officer standing on every street corner. And I think we've started to make some movement towards that by becoming much more collaborative with the community and law enforcement, and bringing in social service agencies to address a lot of the quality of life issues, quite frankly, that come up, and finding a way to have all of those elements coexist in a way where they're accepting, instead of, I live in an apartment downtown and there is a entertainment venue right next to me and I don't like noise at night, or, those kind of things. We have to figure out a way for everybody to be comfortable with integrating in a way that supports one another. And I think the only way we do that is to continue the collaboration, is to continue to bring people together, and to continue to kind of have a unified goal into what the neighborhood or downtown could and should be.
I think that's really well put, Ed. Go ahead, Heather.
You go. No, you go.
Well, I was going to say, I thought this may be a good point, Ed, to just say a couple words about the work that we're doing with MedWorks and some of our partners to again, I think address more effectively some of the challenges that people who are homeless are facing, and that do create quality of life concerns for residents and people visiting downtown. Sometimes safety concerns, but I think we've learned that a lot of times those are not law enforcement issues. They're issues that require social service and mental health service, and we've put some things in place to address things in that fashion.
No, thanks, Michael, for reminding me of that. The prevailing thought for decades was, when there were those kind of issues out, especially in an urban area, call the police and they're going to come and chase people away, or they're going to come and fix it. And that doesn't fix anything. All it does is move, that issue from one street corner to the next. So we try to look at this in a collaborative way by bringing all of the resources together, kind of a one-stop shop, so that when those issues do come up, we actually have an ability to not just move the issue from one corner to another, but to move them, number one, for if there is an urgent medical or psychological crisis, we get those individuals care. But once they're ready to move on from that and get into a follow-up plan, connect that in-hospital or inpatient experience with aftercare, and help those people navigate the system. A lot of our social service agencies, they do fantastic work, but at least in my experience, I found that they don't do a great job of collaborating with one another to kind of fill in the gaps. And so my light keeps going off in my office because I'm not moving.
We have a green.
That's right. That's right.
Green certified office.
But an organization called MedWorks, which is an all volunteer organization that provides healthcare to people experiencing homeless, reached out to us several months ago, and we're forming a collaboration with them now and some of the downtown social service agencies that will allow us to bring these critical services to individuals right on location. and then to assist them to navigate the healthcare system. I know all of you watching, if you've ever tried to figure out what your medical policy provides you, who you have to go see, when you have to go see them, do I need to get approval, all of those kind of things, it's hard enough. But when somebody's in crisis and they're attempting to do that, it's overwhelming to them. So our collaboration is going to be a one-stop shop where we will have people on site to address the immediate need, get them to a safe location where they can receive the treatment that they need, and then make sure that the follow-up and aftercare is consistent. And then hopefully help them move on to shelter, permanent shelter, employment. So that's a program that we'll be rolling out here at the end of the first quarter of this year, and we're really excited about it.
No, thanks, Ed. And I'm sorry, Heather, I kind of jumped in ahead of you in asking Ed that question.
Oh, that was a good question to ask. That was another example of things that we're working on now, for the future for downtown. So going back to your question, Kevin, what is our thought of what is needed for post-pandemic? So I guess what's top of mind, just because you asked it, is the work we're doing in our REI community committee. And for us, it's, putting our money where our mouth is, getting others to do the same. And as we build back up downtown's amenities and storefronts, and experiences, even events and activities, how are we ensuring that we're doing so in a way that reflects our entire community, right? And making sure that, no matter your race, ethnicity, orientation, background, that you feel like downtown is the place that reflects you, your values, and a place that you're welcome. So, I will share that I know that our REI committee is working very diligently on, doing specific outreach and technical assistance to bring more of the Cleveland staples throughout Cleveland. My favorite, as I mentioned on the call today, is Big Al's in Larchmere. I travel from Pepper Pike to Larchmere, on Saturdays so that the family can have, their certain omelets, right? We need that kind of culture and identity, in downtown Cleveland. And so what can we do, for all of our, staples and businesses, who are looking to start and grow, make it easier to do so in the heart of our city. So that way, when, NBA All-Star comes around, as the, sports commission, film commission, and all the powers that be are attracting these, nationally, a national attention events or productions into our city, our downtown reflects that of the rest of our community. And so to me, that's something that I'm excited to be working on now and post-pandemic.
Yeah, I think Heather and Ed really nailed it. I guess what I would close with is, we knew heading into 2020 that continuing to improve the pedestrian experience and our bicycle infrastructure through and around downtown were important to being able to accelerate the growth of our residential population and our business attraction work. And I think what we observed in 2020 and experienced just showed us those things are even more important, that the walkability of downtown, I mentioned that need to really have a seamless urban fabric throughout downtown and connecting to the surrounding neighborhoods is essential. We're lagging a little bit, we're getting there, but I think to kind of take it to the next level coming out of the pandemic, it's something that we're really going to have to focus on as a downtown and as a community. I would like to pause there. I know we've come up on our hour. It's gone quickly. I want to thank everybody in the audience for tuning in and listening to us discuss our annual report. And again, invite all of you to view it in the chat or by visiting downtowncleveland.com. I want to thank our guests today, Heather and Ed, for your time today, as well as all of the work that you do for our organization, the Downtown Cleveland Alliance. Thanks to you, Lauren, for your help today and throughout the Downtown Now webinar series. We're going to be back in 2 weeks with Marcy Goodman, the leader of the Cleveland International Film Festival, which will once again be virtual this year, but has really become one of those institutions and events that is so important to the experience of downtown Cleveland. We're looking forward to talking with Marcy in 2 weeks and hearing from all of you and having you tune in for the next episode of Downtown Now. So once again, thank you for your time today. Thank you for your support of downtown Cleveland, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Thanks.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.